Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. COP29 makes a climate finance pledge of $300 billion a year. India and countries of the global south feel the pledge falls well short of what's needed. Israeli army orders Gaza city suburb to be evacuated. EU Foreign Policy Chief Borrell visits Beirut. He urges both sides to accept US ceasefire proposal. Winter session of Indian Parliament starts Monday. The government expects to get 16 bills passed in the nearly month-long sitting. And Jaiswal plus Kohli stuns helped the visitors set the Aussies a massive 534-run target. Australia reel at 12 for 3 at stumps on day 3 of the first test of the Border Gavaskar series. COP29 President Mukhtar Babayev closed the UN Climate Summit in Baku on Sunday after the delegates adopted a $300 billion a year global finance target. Now, the deal to help poorer countries cope with the impacts of climate change was not accepted by India, Nigeria and several other countries of the global south. The amount falls well short of expectations. Here's the report.
COP29 concluded in Baku with a deal under which developed countries and the EU are required to provide at least $300 billion per year by 2035 for climate finance, an increase from the previous $100 billion per year. The funds will come from various sources, including government budgets, private sector investments, and potential global taxes on industries like aviation and maritime.
We had many difficult conversations. We never stopped pulling you together. We pushed you to reach for the highest possible ambition. With this breakthrough, the Baku finance goal will turn billions into trillions over the next decade.
The US and EU have pushed for wealthier developing countries like China and Saudi Arabia to contribute to climate finance. China refused to change its status but agreed that its contributions via multilateral development banks would count towards the $300 billion goal.
And we have worked hard with all of you to ensure that there is significantly more money on the table. We're tripling the 100 billion goal, and we feel it is ambitious, it is needed, it is realistic, and it is achievable.
Developing countries have also been encouraged to make voluntary contributions. There were disagreements among developing nations on fund allocation. The least developed countries and the Alliance of Small Island States had specific financial demands that were not included in the final deal. A report on boosting climate finance for these nations is expected at the next COP in Brazil in 2025. India firmly rejected the document in its current form.
As we struggle to deal with climate change, the outcome proposed in the paper will further affect our ability to adapt to climate change, greatly impact our NDC ambitions and its implementation, and create further challenges to our resilience, and above all, will severely impact growth.
The promise to transition away from fossil fuels, a key achievement of COP28, was not reinforced in the final deal. Efforts to include annual monitoring of the transition away from oil, gas and coal were also not included, reflecting resistance from producer countries.
You expect us to have ambitious NDCs. The NCQG was supposed to enable us to have realistic finance goals. $300 billion is unrealistic. Let us tell ourselves the truth. This is 3 a.m. and we are going to clap our hands and say this is what we're going to do. I don't think so.
The COP29 deal includes an ambitious goal of delivering at least $1.3 trillion per year by the next decade to meet climate needs, as estimated by UN experts. The hope is that the $300 billion commitment will catalyze private investments to reach this target. But the Global South feels this is too little, too late. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, a climate change protest off the coast of Australia's New South Wales state forced an inbound ship to turn around from the country's largest terminal for coal exports on Sunday. A total of 138 arrests were also made after protesters refused to comply with the direction to move away from the channel. The protests were taking place in this channel, the shipping channel near the port of Newcastle, as part of a 50-hour blockade that started on Friday. The Port of Newcastle spokesperson said that the disruption due to the protest was minimal, but that the inbound vessel aborted due to the people in the channel. It had to be aborted and had been rescheduled to come in later. Now shifting focus, West Asia, where the fierce battle continues between the Hezbollah and Israeli forces as Lebanon has hit 18 projectiles on central Israel, and the foreign policy chief of the European Union has visited Beirut and has urged Israel and Hezbollah to accept a US ceasefire proposal. The Israeli Prime Minister has denounced the death of an Israeli man who went missing in the United Arab Emirates as a heinous anti-Semitic terrorist act. DD India's Aman Kumar Himanshu has more on the story.
These warning sirens were sending women and children for taking shelters in northern Israel before Lebanon's Hezbollah group struck rockets at them on Sunday. The Israeli army said 18 projectiles crossed from Lebanon towards central Israel, while 30 projectiles were identified crossing into northern Israeli territory. European Union's foreign policy chief visited Lebanese capital and urged both Israel and Hezbollah to accept US ceasefire proposal.
We must pressure the Israeli government and maintain the pressure in Hezbollah to accept the US proposal for a ceasefire. This was agreed. This proposal is pending with the final agreement with the Israeli government.
An Israeli man named Rabbi Zvi Kogan, who went missing in the UAE, has been found murdered. Israeli Prime Minister denounced his death as a heinous anti-Semitic terrorist act.
On my behalf and on behalf of all members of the government, on behalf of the citizens of Israel, and on behalf of all of the Jewish people, over the kidnapping and murdering of V. Kogan, may God avenge his death. This murder was committed in the UAE. A murder of an Israeli citizen is a criminal anti-Semitic terror attack. The state of Israel will act with all means to bring justice to the murderers and those who sent them.
Zvi Kogan, a rabbi, was working in the UAE for an Orthodox Jewish group called Chabad that seeks to build links with non-affiliated and secular Jews. Israeli President Isaac Herzog also mourned with sorrow and outrage. In a post on social media platform X, President Herzog called the incident a vile anti-Semitic attack. The Foreign Ministry of the UAE did not comment on news of Kogan's murder, who also held joint Moldovan nationality. On Sunday, a gunman was dead and 3 policemen injured after a gun battle broke out near the Israeli embassy in Jordan. Soon after the gunshots were heard, police and ambulances rushed to the scene and cordoned off an area near the embassy. And demanding the release of hostages, protesters rallied in Tel Aviv on Saturday to mark 414 days since October 7, 2023. According to Israeli tallies, over 250 people were taken hostage and 1,200 people were killed when Hamas attacked Israel in October 2023. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
What's still to come here on DD India News Hour? Protests erupt across Pakistan demanding the release of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan. India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar is in Rome for the the G7 outreach program. And Storm Bert brings snow, floods and chaos to the UK. Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, Ukraine Security Service has said on Sunday that they are studying debris from a new Russian ballistic missile that hit Dnipro on November 21. The missile, which reached speeds of over 13,000 kilometers per hour, took 15 minutes to reach its target. The Russian President Putin had described it as a warning to the West, calling it an intermediate-range hypersonic missile named Oreshnik. Now, Russia has claimed to have destroyed Ukraine's military equipment, while Ukraine has reported repelling Russian advances and counter-attacks. Romanians vote.
We can only say that this missile is ballistic, moved along a ballistic trajectory which was only affected by aerodynamic resistance, and it damaged civilian infrastructure and infrastructure facilities in the city of Dnipro.
Romanians voted on Sunday in the first round of their presidential election amid a surge in inflation and also fears over the war in the neighboring Ukraine that could favor the far-right leader George Simeon. The vote kicks off 2 weeks of the elections in the poor NATO member country, including a parliamentary vote as well as a December 8 presidential runoff. The Social Democrat Prime Minister Marcel Cialasu is leading in the field of 13 contenders in the race to take over from President Klaus Iohannis in the largely ceremonial post. Cialasu has about 25% of support in the opinion polls, followed by the AUR leader Simeon on 15 to 19%. Cialasu was the Social Democratic Party leader, and he shaped the country's politics for more than 3 decades, and he's promised stability and also a decent standard of living if he's voted to power on Sunday. Now, Simeon, who's 38 years old, has seen his popularity surge by tapping into voter anger over record inflation, 10% last year and 5.5% predicted for 2024, and also promising more affordable housing. Iran will hold talks about its disputed nuclear program with 3 European powers on November 29. The Iranian Foreign Ministry said on Sunday, days after the UN atomic watchdog passed a resolution against Tehran. Iran reacted to the resolution proposed by Britain, France, Germany and the United States with what government officials have called various measures such as activating numerous new and advanced centrifuges, machines that enrich uranium. According to a Japanese news agency which first reported this, the meeting would take place on Friday in Geneva. This is what Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian's government was seeking, in fact, a solution to the nuclear impasse ahead of the inauguration in January of the US President-elect Donald Trump. The Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson later said that the deputy foreign ministers of Iran, France, Germany and Britain would take part in these talks, which he said would cover regional issues as well as the nuclear dossier. The spokesperson did not say where the talks are going to take place. Pakistan continues to reel under relentless unrest. In northwestern Pakistan, government officials met with tribal leaders on Sunday in an effort to mediate a ceasefire after days of intense sectarian clashes. Meanwhile, protests erupted across Pakistan on Sunday demanding the release of the jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Here's a report.
Pakistan finds itself engulfed in unrest as authorities scramble to manage rising sectarian violence and political protest. Government officials met tribal leaders in northwestern Pakistan on Sunday in an effort to mediate a ceasefire after 3 days of sectarian clashes left as many as 82 people dead and 156 injured. On Saturday alone, 18 people were killed and 30 were wounded in continued violence. The clashes, concentrated in the Kurram district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, sparked urgent discussions with Chief Minister Ali Amin holding a virtual meeting in Peshawar to review the security situation. Earlier on Friday, Parachinar mourned the loss of 40 Shia Muslims killed in an ambush on a bus convoy. Businesses, schools and transportation were shut down in solidarity as tensions escalated. The violence began on Thursday when gunmen attacked civilian convoys, killing mostly Shia Muslims. Retaliatory attacks against Sunni residents have since fueled armed confrontations.
Among the martyrs, there were infants as little as 6 months old and the women. They were innocent passengers. What was their fault? Traders have announced a 3-day mourning. All the markets are closed.
Adding to the turmoil, protests erupted across Pakistan on Sunday, demanding the release of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Several PTI supporters were detained as Islamabad was put on lockdown. Highways and major roads were blocked with shipping containers, mobile services were suspended, and security forces remained on high alert. As Pakistan grapples with dual crisis, sectarian violence in northwest and political unrest in the capital, stability remains elusive. With efforts underway to broker peace and restore order, the country faces an uphill battle to prevent further escalation. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar inaugurated the new Chancery of the Embassy of India in Rome, Italy on Sunday. Dr. Jaishankar is on a 3-day visit to Italy from the 24th to the 26th of November. The new Chancery will help to serve better the Indian community in Italy. Dr. Jaishankar spoke about the long-standing civilizational ties between India and Italy, highlighting their shared social structures.
The opening of a new embassy, our own property, is always a very important occasion for any relationship. It is also a reflection of the commitment and vision of our leaders today in taking forward our ties. There is a convergence in our worldviews, a synergy in our endeavors in addressing global and regional issues, and definitely a new enthusiasm for developing our bilateral ties. India's growing engagement with Europe and particularly to Italy, which we see both as a very influential European and Mediterranean country, certainly reinforce each other. And we've been very pleased to see that Prime Minister Meloni's government has given more attention to Asia and specifically to India.
Voters in Uruguay headed to the polls on Sunday, kicking off the second round of presidential elections between moderates that closes out a bumper year of elections. Opposition centre-left candidate Yamandu Orsi takes on the continuity conservative runner Alvaro Delgado. The final opinion polls suggest the November 24 runoff promises to be razor tight, with fewer than 25,000 votes potentially separating the front runners. Now, from Europe to California, nature is flexing its extremes this week. Storm Bert has brought snow, floods and chaos to the United Kingdom and to Ireland, and California faces a historic deluge. Here's the report. Storm Bert has left streets and sidewalks in Northwest Ireland submerged, particularly in Newton Abbey, where a river burst its banks. The Met Office has warned of multi-hazard conditions with snow, rain and strong winds battering much of the UK this weekend.
Probably about 6:30 this morning, the river burst its banks up behind us here, and the river basically just flowed down the whole way down the street here, Bridge Street in Killybegs, and flooded all the premises and houses along the street here as well. And so
the water has receded now, but we're expecting very heavy rain tonight, so that's why the sandbags are still out this evening, and hopefully that we can protect the rest of the homes. People are distraught. They're really upset by everything that's going on. There's a lot of businesses being put out and a lot of the local community that are quite devastated by this.
Ireland, Britain and France are reeling under the storm's impact, with 60,000 homes in Ireland left powerless and severe disruptions to roads, ferries and trains. Communities in Northwest Ireland devastated by the storm are now beginning to assess the damages. In England's Northumberland, heavy snowfall turned Gunnerton into a picturesque winter wonderland. But the beauty came with travel chaos. Yellow and amber weather warnings remain in place across the United Kingdom. Severe weather disrupts traffic in Istanbul. Maritime routes were cancelled, leaving commuters stranded. Numerous flights were grounded at Istanbul airport. In California, 2 die in storm flooding-related incidents in Sonoma County. Downtown Santa Rosa received a staggering 18 inches of rain over 3 days, marking this as a once-in-a-thousand-year event. Santa Rosa also broke records at Sonoma County Airport, with nearly 7 inches of rainfall recorded in a single day. And the cheerful news is from Imako-yasen in Japan's Hiroshima, where visitors are enjoying autumn colors. The streets and gardens are awash with vibrant hues of red, orange and yellow, offering a striking contrast to the weather chaos elsewhere. Bureau Report, DD India. Well, let's take a look now at other stories making news from around the world. A massive fire tore through a shanty community in downtown Manila in the port area on Sunday, leaving hundreds homeless. The blaze, which started in the morning, raged on for 8 hours before being extinguished. Authorities are investigating the cause. Under the theme, Theatre in Resistance, Art is Life, the 25th edition of the Carthage Theatre Days opened in Tunisia's capital, Tunis. Well, this year's edition is remarkable for its international scope, featuring 125 performances from 32 countries. A unique chocolate bar filled with pistachio cream, dubbed Dubai Chocolate, is creating a buzz in Germany, drawing long queues outside chocolatiers. Originally, it was invented in 2021 by the British-Egyptian entrepreneur Sarah Hamouda in Dubai. The Swiss chocolatier Lindt has now launched its own version in Germany, fueling its popularity further with online promotions. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. We'll be putting into focus the COP29 agenda and whether it meets global concerns adequately. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the ICA Global Cooperative Conference 2024 in New Delhi on Monday. And Day 5 of the ongoing International Film Festival of India in Goa witnesses the culmination of a successful edition of the Film Bazaar.
Lights, camera, IFI. The stage is all set. Straight from the scenic Goa, we get you all the latest and live action from the 55th edition of International Film Festival of India, only on DD India.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn, and here's a recap of our main stories. COP29 makes climate finance pledge of $300 billion a year. India and countries of the global south feel that the pledge falls well short of what's needed. The Israeli army orders Gaza city suburb to be evacuated. EU Foreign Policy Chief Borrell visits Beirut, urges both sides to accept US ceasefire proposal. And the winter session of Indian Parliament starts Monday. The government expects to get 16 bills passed in the nearly month-long sitting. The Indian government held an all-party meeting in Parliament ahead of the winter session of Parliament with leaders including the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju and the Congress leaders Pramod Tiwari and Jairam Ramesh in attendance. The winter session will begin tomorrow, that's November 25, and run until December 20. The third session of the 18th Lok Sabha and the 266th session of the Rajya Sabha will see the introduction of key bills, including the Muslim Waqf Repeal Bill 2024 and the Waqf Amendment Bill.
हम सिर्फ अनुरोध यही करते हैं कि सदन अच्छा से चले, हंगामा ना हो। कोई भी विषय पार्लियामेंट में रखता है तो शांतिपूर्वक उस विषय को चर्चा होगा तो बहुत लाभ मिलेगा। हर सदस्य चर्चा में भाग लेना चाहता है, लेकिन सदन अच्छी तरह से चलना चाहिए। हमने आरंभ में हर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को अपील किया है कि ये शीतकालीन सत्र विंटर सेशन ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट अच्छी तरह से चले, इसमें सबका सहयोग चाहिए और सबका भागीदारी जरूरी है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized the pivotal role of youth in guiding the elderly in this digital age. He also hailed how Indians have planted over 1 billion trees as a tribute to their mothers. Here's more on the Prime Minister's monthly radio address, which is titled Man Ki Baat. Mihir Mikuri reports.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared his thoughts with the nation on Sunday during the 116th episode of his monthly radio program Man Ki Baat. During his address, Prime Minister Modi emphasized the pivotal role of youth in guiding the elderly in this digital age.
बुजुर्गों को डिजिटल अरेस्ट के खतरे से बचाने के लिए भी युवा आगे आए हैं। इस तरह के अपराध के सबसे ज्यादा शिकार बुजुर्ग ही बनते हैं। ऐसे में हमारा दायित्व है कि हम उन्हें जागरूक बनाएं और साइबर फ्रॉड से बचने में मदद करें।
Prime Minister Modi also celebrated the significant achievement under the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign, where Indians have planted over 1 billion trees as a tribute to their mothers. The campaign inspires people to express love and respect for their mothers through tree planting, with its influence now extending beyond India to other countries.
एक पेड़ माँ के नाम अभियान अब दुनिया के दूसरे देशों में भी फैल रहा है। जब मैं गयाना में था तो वहां भी इस अभियान का साक्षी बना। वहां मेरे साथ गयाना के राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर इरफान अली, उनकी पत्नी की माताजी और परिवार के बाकी सदस्य एक पेड़ माँ के नाम अभियान में शामिल हुए।
Prime Minister Modi further encouraged citizens to share inspiring stories about the accomplishments of Indian expatriates on platforms like the Namo app, MyGov, or using the hashtag Indian Diaspora Stories. He also highlighted a remarkable project in Oman preserving the history of Indian families who settled there decades ago.
ओमान में भारतीय दूतावास और नेशनल आर्काइव्स ऑफ इंडिया के सहयोग से एक टीम ने इन परिवारों की हिस्ट्री को प्रिजर्व करने का काम शुरू किया है। इस अभियान के तहत अब तक हजारों डॉक्यूमेंट्स जुटाए जा चुके हैं। ओमान के लोगों के साथ उनके संबंध कैसे आगे बढ़े, ये सब कुछ इन दस्तावेजों का हिस्सा है।
Prime Minister Modi highlighted efforts to preserve Indian culture globally. He mentioned the translation of the Upanishads into the Slovak language in Slovakia, describing it as a commendable initiative promoting India's rich cultural heritage worldwide. Mihir Makuri, reporting for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the Odisha Parba 2024. It's a program on Sunday. He did so in New Delhi. And the state's rich heritage and cultural traditions were showcased during this event. Prime Minister Modi enjoyed a sip of tea at a tea stall. While addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister emphasized that the Indian government is consistently working for the all-round development of the state of Odisha.
10 साल पहले ओडिशा को केंद्र सरकार जितना बजट देती थी, आज ओडिशा को 3 गुना ज्यादा बजट मिल रहा है। इस साल ओडिशा के विकास के लिए पिछले साल की तुलना में 30% ज्यादा बजट दिया गया है। हम ओडिशा के विकास के लिए हर सेक्टर में तेजी से काम कर रहे हैं।
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the ICA Global Cooperative Conference 2024 on November 25th at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. With the theme Cooperatives Build Prosperity for All, the conference aligns with India's Sahakar Se Samriddhi vision. It will focus on the role of cooperatives in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. PM Modi will also launch the UN International Year of Cooperative 2025 themed Cooperatives Build a Better World and unveil a commemorative postal stamp symbolizing India's commitment to the cooperative movement. The event will be attended by Bhutan's Prime Minister Dasho Tshering Tobgay, Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister Manao Kamika, and around 3,000 delegates from over 100 countries participated. And now let's go back to our top story, which is about COP29 and its outcomes from Baku. We are joined from New Delhi by our guest Suruchi Badwal, who is the Director of Climate Change at the Energy and Resources Institute. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being with us. Now, Ms. Badwal, we understand that the sum of $300 billion is a low sum. But the EU delegate says that that's what's achievable. Let's be realistic. That's what's achievable. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a great underestimation of what countries require with regards to them basically meeting their climate ambitions and the NDCs that they have stated. Somehow I feel it's a great disappointment, because I would have felt if, the developed countries would have made a statement with regards to saying that this is the public finance that will be made available. But right now in the negotiations, the way the discussions have gone and $300 billion that has been committed, I think, they've left it vague with regards to multiple sources through which this financing will be made available, which basically means that they would leverage onto private sector finances and other finances possibly to be able to meet this goal. Now, if $300 billion would have been purely public finance, then the rest of it that we are looking at as a gap would have been, sourced through or garnered through those other sources that I'm talking about. But now, in the current text, we are basically mixing it up and saying, this is the money that we have and that is it, that we can offer. Basically keeping many developing countries in a fix with regards to how they are supposed to be achieving their goals and targets that have been outlaid.
So you clearly believe that that $1 trillion target can be reached. To what extent can carbon credit trading work in this regard? Because, the polluter continues to pay, who continues to pollute will pay. But of course, the historical polluter, how do we get them to pay is a matter that is already up. That's what the $300 billion, the $1 trillion we are talking about. But, the historical polluter, it's tough to get them to pay today. But perhaps, if you increase carbon credits to some extent, there could be some incentive to pay.
So some things the markets are supposed to pick up, and possibly they will add to the kind of projects that we are talking about that needs to be basically pushed forward for the GHG mitigation that we have to see. But I do not think so that we will still be able to reach the 1 trillion mark with the kind of finances. Even if you were to bring the markets in, I think the markets only pick up the mature technologies and practices in place to promote that. So how much would it be able to push, and how much would it be able to help the developing countries with regards to meeting their goals is something that is questionable. And mind you, we are just not talking about GHG reductions and mitigation. We are locked into a phase of climate change already.
Yes.
And therefore we are experiencing the impacts of climate change, and many countries out there, who are facing these floods and heat wave conditions and extreme weather conditions, basically also have to respond to that. And, and that basically means an investment that is needed to be able to secure their own people, from the risks and consequences of climate change. And that support is not available.
Ms. Badbal, there is the moral argument, and of course the moral argument is very strong that made by the developing countries. But there is the realistic argument as well, and we know that the US President Donald Trump is president-elect, and he wants to go back on all these things. He wants to increase the sale of fossil fuels because he has them. And he wants to increase his revenues through these methods. The producers of fossil fuels also will start being encouraged and want to start doing that. Can the economy, around clean energy be made more lucrative and competitive?
Yeah, I think there are challenges that the world sees today. If I were to sum up in that context, of course, we see the biggest player, the United States, having, a different stance with regards to what it wants to focus on. And it would be challenging for the rest of the world to push this agenda, with Europe continuously, trying to put its best foot forward, with the little initiatives that it can bring in. But, it's going to pinch them also after some time, and their people. And we're already seeing that happen. And that is the reason why you didn't see them commit to a greater than $300 billion deal. It's very clear. And they're talking about the CBAM and all, and which will again basically have an implication both in-house with regards to trade, but also, externally to other countries who are going to get affected by trade. So there are going to be huge implications for Europe, and one will have to see up till what point will that threshold cross, where possibly, you will see them also give up. So there are challenges, but of course you cannot, in that whole scenario that we are basically discussing, with countries facing challenges in terms of, being able to secure funds and implement things to be able to limit the global temperature rise by 1.5 degree and 2 degree. There are challenges that climate change will put forth, which I think no country will be able to bear. And I think the administrations need to come to terms with that and understand that I think your economic challenges will grow multifold with the kind of impacts that you will basically see because of changes in the climate. And therefore, no country can afford to actually, keep their eyes blindfolded to what we are discussing.
Absolutely. They can't afford to do that, and perhaps they're looking at it financially also as can't afford to do it. That's the problem. But, on a global level, are emissions coming down, would you think? I mean, with all the efforts being made, is there a conscious effort from individuals towards lifestyle for environment? The policy that Government of India has put forward, Prime Minister's Life Principle.
So there are agencies which do, analysis with regards to the different commitments that countries, make with regards to their ambition levels. And one of the things that very clearly we say, we've holistically, we fall short of the 1.5 and 2 degree mark. That 2 degree mark is the Paris Agreement, and we fall short of reaching those goals with the current policies and plans that we have in place world over. And I think the pitch was from the civil society for every country raising their ambition with regards to their mitigation goals so that we could at least limit the world to a 2-degree centigrade rise by 2100. And today, with the current level of NDCs that we have, the commitments that we have from countries, we are way short of that. So the objective was to actually raise the ambition. But if you see the way the negotiations have gone, where the climate negotiations have fallen apart, I think it's just basically given a message to every country, get your own house in order the way you want to. There is no finance available to be able to support you for, for the kind of technologies that are needed to be implemented and the finance that is needed to implement those technologies. Therefore, I think rather than raising of ambitions of countries, it's going to take countries behind with regards to the ambition levels. And we are not sure that whatever countries have basically said now with regards to the NDCs will be able to be met because countries don't have the finances to support that implementation. Right. So whatever estimations have been done and whatever margin we fall short of the 2-degree mark, I think we will be way beyond that in terms of meeting the goals, and the gap is basically widening.
So it's left to the small island states, to developing countries to sort of just, fend for yourself, find your way in this world. Is that the kind of message that's coming out? And, what about the fossil fuel producing countries? Are they even interested in trying to meet any goals to sort of pay? After all, if we look at the polluter pays principle, we are talking about historical responsibility. But many of those countries which basically exported oil for all these years, they fall into the category of developing countries.
Yeah, they've been part of the negotiations all these years, but definitely I don't think so. They do want to have very stringent rules coming forth, which kind of affects their own economy and basically has an impact. Of course, they've been enjoying. They are rich countries. They have resources and, infrastructure built, which can support them. So that's the difference that the world keeps talking about, that many countries out there possibly don't have the wherewithal to respond to the kind of risks that climate change poses, but others do have the capacities, and largely this is in the context of developed countries having those capacities. But if you were to see just a few months back, right, Spain was flooded, and how many people died because of the floods in Spain? Same is the case in the United States. Whenever you have a flash flood or the storm striking one of the coasts of the United States of America, so no country is basically left with the scathing of the consequences of climate change, right. Name it, be it floods, heat waves, or forest fire conditions. I think each one of us is in the same boat. And basically the message is that we are talking about a sinking ship right now.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Ms. Suruchi Badwal, Director, Climate Change at TERI, for putting us, right into, for explaining it to us so clearly, the clear and present danger that we face. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, still to come on DD India News Hour. The Physical Education Foundation of India organizes the 7th PEFI National Awards.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, in some other stories, after the assembly election results in the states of Maharashtra and Jharkhand in India, the government formation has gained momentum. The Deputy Election Commissioner and Maharashtra's Chief Electoral Officer met with the Maharashtra Governor C.P. Radhakrishnan at the Raj Bhavan in Mumbai on Sunday. So the officials presented copies of the Gazette and the ECI notification listing the names of the newly elected members of the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. The results of the Assembly elections were declared on November 23, with the notification published on November 24, in line with the Representation of People's Act 1951. In Jharkhand as well, the JMM Executive President Hemant Soren will take oath of office as the Chief Minister of the state on November 28. Hemant Soren tendered his resignation as the Jharkhand Chief Minister to the Governor Santosh Gangwar and has staked his claim to form the next government at the Raj Bhavan. So the JMM-led alliance had retained power, in fact, in Jharkhand, where assembly polls were conducted in two phases on November 13 and November 20. India's Information and Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnav watched the movie The Sabarmati Report in New Delhi on Sunday. This film is based on the burning of a coach of the Sabarmati Express train near Godhra station in Gujarat in 2002. On Friday, the team of the film had met the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. The Home Minister congratulated them for their courage in narrating the truth.
में एक अनफॉर्चुनेटली ऐसा वर्क भी बना हुआ था जो सच को झूठ और झूठ को सच करने की कोशिश करता है, लेकिन आज सौभाग्य है कि देश में सच की पहचान हमेशा बनी रहती है और वो सच की पहचान आज सामने आ रही है.
Updates from IFI now, as the 18th edition of the Film Bazaar at the ongoing 55th International Film Festival of India and Goa concluded in great style, having witnessed one of the most successful editions of the B2B exchange in the world of cinema. Our next report from Goa brings us more.
The 55th edition of International Film Festival of India witnessed the successful conclusion of the 18th Film Bazaar edition. The flagship event of IFI served as a perfect business-to-business platform for cinegoers and economy creators.
Here I'm presenting 4 films and actually like all production houses. So I'm presenting films, 2 of them, Fireball and We Should Make Movies About Love, were done in Varanasi together with Respect India Entertainment. And also I'm presenting films and like establishing contacts for co-production between Russia and India. Yeah, so since it's a co-production treaty between Russia and India, so we are now looking for good projects, audience-oriented projects between our countries, so which can be interesting both in India and Russia.
I'm very happy and very delighted to be here, first of all. This is my second time when I'm participating this Film Bazaar, and I was happy to visit this year, during this year, because the opportunity of distribution between 2 countries, Russia and India, are growing up, and I believe that my company Media Telecom from Russia will be able to involve our efforts into this very important process, because our culture is quite close, and that is why we have a very, from my point of view, fruitful future.
And so glad to be here. It's really beyond our expectations. It's been so fantastic and adventurous actually here. Everything is perfectly planned and so many things to enjoy, connect with people, with different studios and distributors, as well as get to know more about the cinema, what's happening all over the world. So I think it's really commendable for me to NFDC and INB Ministry and the festival, IFI Goa, to organize such a huge event at this scale.
Film Bazaar is a converging point for South Asian and international filmmakers and film producers, sales agents and festival programmers for potential creative and financial collaboration. Over the course of 5 days, the festival focused on discovering, supporting and showcasing South Asian content and talent in filmmaking, production and distribution. The bazaar also encouraged the sales of foreign cinema in the South Asian region.
The 18th edition of Film Bazaar concluded in great style at the 55th edition of International Film Festival of India. Over the days, we saw the walk-in of national and international filmmakers, critics, actors and young minds who looked after the business-to-business platforms and shared their thoughts and more horizons to be explored for the opportunities which are yet to come, because the future is now for all the delegates who attended the 18th Film Bazaar. With camera person Alok, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
Well, the Kaski District Court in Nepal, it's extended the detention of the former Deputy Prime Minister and President of the Rashtriya Swatantrata Party for another 15 days. Lami Chane is in custody under investigation for cooperative fraud and organized crime. The extension follows a previous court order on November 10, which allowed his detention for 13 days. Lami Chane had also been arrested earlier in October for similar charges. He was taken into custody, in fact, on October 18. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to the sports news now. And in cricket, well, Virat Kohli hammered a historic century, his 30th in Test cricket, as India declared their innings at 487 for 6 against Australia on day 3 of the first test in Perth. In fact, India has set a huge target of 534 runs. Kohli scored a ton and remained not out, and Yashasvi Jaiswal was the star performer with a mighty and magnificent 161. Apart from them, KL Rahul hit a classy 77 and Nitish Kumar Reddy also chipped in with 38 quick runs. Now, on the other hand, Australia, well, they are struggling. They're reeling, in fact. 3 wickets down for just 12 runs in that chase of 534, thanks to brilliant bowling by Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj. Now, India's Rishabh Pant and Shreyas Iyer have shattered all-time records at the IPL Players Auction in 2025 as the duo have fetched real big money in the 2-day mega event at the Abadi Al Johar Arena in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. This happened on Sunday. The former Delhi Capitals player Rishabh Pant made history as the most expensive player in the IPL auction history, being signed by the Lucknow Super Giants for an astonishing 27 crore rupees. That's about $3.21 million. Pant was released by Delhi Capitals ahead of this year's auction. He had also been part of the Delhi Capitals setup since 2016 and was then the captain also of that side for the 2021 season. But Shreyas Iyer had also helped Kolkata Knight Riders back the IPL in 2024, but he was sold to Punjab Kings for 26.5 crore rupees, and that's about $3.15 million. The other notable buys include Venkatesh Iyer and from Kolkata to Kolkata Knight Riders again, and this was for 23.75 crore rupees, that's $2.81 million. Arshdeep Singh went to Punjab Kings for 18 crore rupees, that's $2.14 million. Yajuvendra Chahal to Punjab Kings for 18 crore rupees, that's about $2.14 million. KL Rahul went to the Delhi Capitals for about 14 crore rupees, that's about $1.66 million. And Mohammad Siraj went to Gujarat Titans for Indian rupees, INR, what is that, 12.25 crore rupees? Yes, that's about $1.48 million. The Physical Education Foundation of India on Sunday organized the 7th PEFI National Awards in New Delhi. This is under the aegis of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. It recognizes and honors outstanding contributions and achievements in the field of physical education, sports and fitness in India. 29 professionals, including teachers and coaches, were awarded. The program featured the Ministry of Sports as Joint Secretary, Kunal as the chief guest, and the Khelo India High Performance Manager and Arjuna Award winner, Yashpal Solanki. So, the Indian wrestler Chirag Chikara was awarded the Emerging Sportsperson of the Year award. The PEFI Awards, they celebrate achievements through categories such as Lifetime Achievement in Physical Education, Best Physical Education Teacher, Best Yoga Teacher and more. The ceremony aims to inspire continued excellence. It motivates the sports personnel as well as the physical education community. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And you can also, for those of you who are on the go, you can also get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. That app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on your screens and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.